Do-rag wisdom here, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Earth Day Y2k20.12.25, Christmas Eve, and 28 days to Inauguration, with Georgia still being on my mind, and some more informational strokes. The music you're going to be hearing in the background are excerpts from Handel's Messiah in honor of the Christmas holiday season from this Jewish member of the atheist tribe. Just imagine if the two Democrats lose in the Georgia runoff, the first full week in January, Y2k21, because both have to win in order for the Democrats to have control of the United States Senate. The Trumpist traitors have nothing to fear, because in spite of the fact that the kangaroo right-wing Supreme Court did not go along with Trump's drive to overturn our legal and constitutional election, they will still do, this court will still do what they are supposed to, what they were assigned to. Destroy abortion rights, decimate worker rights, eliminate LGBTQ rights, and torch environmental rights. Trump was too stupid to understand that his drive to make our Supreme Court into a slime pit was not all about him, as he thought. The family, that group I talked to you before about in Jeff Charlotte's book, and the Federalist Society, both religious extremists, had other plans beyond Trump's vain attempts. Their image of our court and of our society goes way beyond the dictatorial aims of Trump. The religious extremist right knew that in order to place their way of life in power was to begin with control of our federal courts. They have realized their goals, ladies and gentlemen and friends. The courts are theirs and not Trump's. But they're not ours either. They belong to the religious extremists that he gave permission to do. Now we have a majority of extremists in the lower federal courts of our land, up to and including our Supreme Court, all infested by the corona religious virus. I never thought that I should have to worry about the highest court in our land, but have learned that, ironically enough, the highest court of our land, the Supreme Court, follows its own rules to the detriment of justice. I should never, ever have to worry about the politics or religion of a judge. All of them, the judges and the jury, are all supposed to be impartial. How is a Supreme Court supposed to be impartial if the president picks the justices and not the people, except through the election of that president? How is a lower federal court or a Supreme Court impartial if its justices are influenced by the politics and the religion of the president that chose them? It looks like it is okay to pick judges this way, federal judges. So we on the left must step up and fight our way back to justice through 20 years of right-wing religious extremist meddling. The Supreme Court must be expanded to include 3 liberals and 1 swing vote named Merrick Garland or the like. And the change, this change should be permanent, this configuration, especially since on the federal level, it seems to be that political and religious biases are acceptable for lifetime appointments. If that is the case, ladies and gentlemen, the Supreme Court especially should be constitutionally required to have an even amount of liberal and an even amount of conservative seats, and always with 1 swing vote seat. This configuration should never change, no matter who is elected president. If both Democrats running for the Senate in Georgia win, we will be able to reform our federal courts so that they reflect justice and not hypocrisy. And if McConnell and his Trumpist traitors win in Georgia, we can forget about justice or about anything positive in our country for at least another 2 years. But even then, I fear that the wishy-washy, middle-of-the-road, extremist Democratic Party will screw things up again, so that by the time, we will be back to a Trumpist legislature, to our death, the death of our country. In the 70 years I've lived on this planet, I've learned that human beings mostly do not learn, and that goes quadruple for the Democratic Party, at least in this era. And you know, in one era, the Democratic Party supported lynching. That's right, the Dixiecrats. So everything changes from one epoch to the next until we, if we don't learn our lessons, are done. Please support Warnock and Ossoff for U.S. Senate from Georgia, as if our country and our federal courts and everything else, other issues, depended on it. And they do. In the meantime, here are some more informational strokes for all of you. Number one, regarding the limited amount of subscribers that I have. First, if I worry about the amount of subscribers I have, folks, I'm going to remind you of a certain tainted president about to leave office. Second, since I do not monetize myself, and since I do not pay Google, YouTube, a monthly fee, I believe, and of course I may be wrong, that they cut me off after I receive a maximum number of subscribers, I guess around 1,500. And I get the new member notifications. Since I first became part of this, and since my site took off, I used to receive new member notifications. Those stopped even when I saw posts of people that I did not even know before. And I've seen that, people come in I don't know. So I can't give Google my money, as they have too much of our money as it is, and they take over too much. And I can't monetize myself because if it would mean you would have to view commercials before you see me. And I hate commercial advertising. Of course, there may be another reason for my low subscribership. It may be simply that I do not have the personality. Or do I have a major interest for most people? I could at least add some special effects to my broadcasts to make it look like my head explodes, for example. But bottom line, I appreciate anyone who has the patience to tune in and view me. All of you who have stuck by me for these 4 nightmare years are appreciated. And if you decide that you wish to move on, no problem. My head cannot get too big for my brain. Otherwise, I am nothing better than what we have had as president. I want to promise you folks that to let you know whatever I'm going to do, if or when, for example, if I'm going to go off the air, we'll see what happens with that. I also promise that if I stay on the air, I will do so until I have 0 subscribers. If I have even 1, I'll stay on. Number 2, be aware that as Trump leaves office, he is leaving behind death traps for the Biden administration. He is attempting more decimation of our public lands, for example. If you've ever hiked in a redwood forest or slept under a starlit sky, the last thing you want is the Trump fiend killing these experiences for future hikers and campers. Be aware that Trump is leaving his scum on the board of our post office. He is playing around with the Middle East to the detriment of the Biden administration. As of this broadcast, the Trump scumbag is still trying to overturn our election. It may be easier than we think, even harder, because, number 3, our country is dangerously divided. But not in the way that you think, and not in the way that Trump thinks. I believe that Biden won through a coalition of Democrats and of classic Republicans, represented by the likes of the Lincoln Project, like Steve Schmidt. Make no mistake, Biden is with us today because of help from those fiscal conservatives who keep their social conservatism under control. 80 million plus voters went with Biden. And how many of those millions were Biden Republicans? Remember the Reagan Democrats? As for the other side, those 74 million plus who supported Trump, I don't need to embrace them because they supported a person who showed exactly the evil kind of creep he was. Maybe 40 million of the 80 that we have on our side, I'm calculating, that went for Biden were Republicans. With enough support behind these voters, would they be able to one day reclaim the Republican Party and liberate it from the Trumpist totalitarianism? We do not have a constitutional democratic republic if we have only one party. We need two parties. Perhaps we have a positive outlier in the support that Biden got from anti-Trump Republicans. Maybe there is hope that one day the GOP, which I disagree with, the conservative ideals and everything else, will one day go back to being sane, Lincoln-like. Number 4, please be patient about the message boards. Not every broadcast is popular for discussion, but those that get the most hits or more hits, especially from regular contributors, I will make sure to respond to before I do a new broadcast. It may take a few days before I respond, but folks, I will. Number 5, here's to wins in Georgia for us all. Here's to the end of the pandemic. Here's to health and harmony for all. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, joyous Kwanzaa, and an enlightened Hitchens time in memory of the December 15th death of atheist, commentator, and intellectual Christopher Hitchens.